When you're in the presence of greatness, you're gripped by a certain fear. And it's not related to any particular action. This fear is upon you simply because you feel utterly insignificant in the presence of this greatness that you're in. If you were to go, and I know we're going to elicit a lot of objections to this right now, but I'll say it anyways. If you were to have a meeting with the president in the Oval Office, regardless of who the president may be, and regardless of your esteem for him or her, walking into that room and shaking the hands of the president would bring about that. You would feel a yiras haremamos. You would feel that. You'd feel that strongly. And if the president says, over there, oh, I left my pen over there, can you please bring me the pen? You're bringing it to the president not because you're scared that he's going to call in the Secret Service and they're going to give you patch, but it's an automatic reaction. What? But there's also the year over there. You'd be fearful not to do it. Why? What can he do to you? It's not a king. He can't chop your head off. But when you're in the presence of greatness, and again, in this particular case, the greatness is not necessarily the person, but the position. What? Sorry? The office, right? I'm not looking for the word so much respect as awe and fear. There's a certain feeling of, and that is a higher level of yiras Hashem. But you realize when you're in, that takes proximity. Because sitting over here, the funny thing is, we laugh at the president. But when you're right next to him, you're not laughing. Okay? The closer you are to the presence of greatness, again, greatness, whether the individual is great or whether the position is great, as in this case, regardless of what anyone thinks about our current president, I don't think anyone thinks of him in terms of individual greatness, but that evokes this yira. When you study Torah, you are right now in the Oval Office, but not with Donald Trump, but with Hashem. Yes, there's definitely Hashem is so great and He creates heavens and earth and everything. But when I'm learning Torah, it's not just an abstract knowledge of that there is Hashem who's this great. If I think into what's going on, I'm realizing I'm Pashat, as I mentioned, I'm in the Oval Office, I'm there. I'm uniting with Hashem. On what level of Hashem? The Ein Sof, the infinite light of Hashem, which completely transcends the entire system of creation. All the higher worlds of Gan Eden and Atzilus are receiving it, but it's a little ray, a here of that light. And me, when I'm studying Torah, I'm digesting that. I'm becoming one with it. This is a mind-blowing thought, and it's only because we're so physical. And our spiritual sensitivities are non-existent that we're able to do this incredible thing and not just totally, what was the word we used last week? Vaporized, right. Right. The example is given of this. There was a king who once commissioned the creation of his crown. Beautiful crown. Gold and different precious stones. But the crowning glory of the crown, excuse the pun, was this incredible gem, large gem worth many, many, many millions of dollars. And that had to be set prominently in the front of the crown. The problem was that they hired a few gemologists to set the stone, but none of them were able to. Why? Because every time the one of them picked up the king's crown and picked up this the gem, they were shaking. They were so overcome with the awesomeness of what the crown is and this diamond that they couldn't take the understanding what the king is and what the crown is and the value of this gem. They couldn't take the stone and with steady hands set it. So what did they do? They went to a little village and they found a peasant who had no understanding of what a king is and no understanding of what a crown is, no understanding what a diamond is. And they said, here's your job. You have to take this gem and set it over here, and no problem. He picked up the crown, picked up the gem, did exactly as he was told, and the job was done. And the same thing is with us. In other words, if we were to understand if we were able to experience and sense what's happening when we're studying Torah, we wouldn't be able to. We wouldn't be able to. And so that's why in the higher worlds, they can't experience what we're experiencing here. They can't do this. They can't have this connection to Hashem because they wouldn't be able to handle it. But because we're the peasant, we have no understanding what the king is and what the diamond is and Torah and Hashem, so we sit and we study Torah and we are completely oblivious to the absolutely mind-boggling thing that's happening right now, which is that we are right now in a very pneumistic way, in a very internal way, internalizing and connecting with the level of Hashem of Sevu Kalam, which is completely above and beyond all the worlds and totally infinite.